about that Abraham and Esther Hicks, huh? So many things that are in that I just absolutely love because it's relevant to all of us. I don't know how many workshops on guidance and spirit guides that Mary and I have done over the last 6 years all around the country. And folks so often say, but it's supposed to be this way. I'm waiting to see this person that looks totally physical but is somewhat see-through, and I have this ordained in my mind that this is the way that I need to see my spirit guide. Or that it needs to come in this way, or it needs to come in that way, or if it doesn't have wings, I'm not talking to it. Or, just all these different things that we put onto it. And we're all connected. It's not us here and guides here and God there. It's all connected. God is in all things, including us, and including our guides, who are also in us, and we're also in them, and we're also in God. And so it's this big soup, if you will. And when we're in the flow of this big soup, so oftentimes, like I'll be giving a reading and someone will say, here's my questions, and I'll tune in and I'll get guidance for the answers. And I'll say, but where are you getting that from? Well, I'm getting that from a combination of God and my guides, who I'm used to talking to, and your guides, who I've just met, and your higher self and my higher self, and all of these things that all come from good. They're all concerned with giving you the answers that you seek for your good. And it's really difficult to say, well, this is part water, and this is part chicken broth, and this is part meatball, and this is part it's the soup. It's when you take a cookie, it's a cookie. It's not, I taste the flour, I taste the eggs, I taste the vanilla, I taste the this or that. It's, what a wonderful cookie. So one half is that we interpret things based on how we, folklore we've picked up along our physical journey, the things that we've heard from other people, whether it was from church or from ministers or from psychics or from other folks who we're friends with who are intuitive, through books and movies and things that we've seen, that it should be this way because I saw it on The Ghost Whisperer and that's how she did it. Or I saw it on Ghost Hunters and that's how they did it. Or I went to go see Sylvia Brown and this is how she did it. Or any of these things, when instead, it really is in every aspect of our daily life, parentheses here, quote here, if we let it. If we let it. The one thing that I found for myself about guidance, and I'm sure that when you look back through your life, you'll see the same is true with you, that guidance comes, for most of us, most of the time, like a bit of a whisper. And if this group over here is yelling, top of your lungs, just yell. And not in a bad way, but you're just being very, very loud. And this group here, you guys are just talking. Hey guys, blah, 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 and you guys are talking. At the same time that you guys are yelling. But you guys over here are whispering. Now let's say that this is my conscious mind of what's going on. I have to do this, I'm about to do that, what is the time, what is the this, what is the that, here are the things that I must do. These are my top of mind thinking. Now you guys, you're more like my subconscious thinking. You're the stuff that's going on in the background. It's going, oh yeah, this is important and that's important. Oh, did I tell somebody that I loved them? And oh, she really looks nice today and he's really doing a great job and I really, oh, what a beautiful day and this couch is really comfy and I'm glad we're not sitting on those black folding chairs anymore. This is so much better on my backside and this is all the subconscious stuff that's going on. But you guys over here, you're like God and guides and inner guidance and all of these things. And you guys are saying, Scott, dude, I know you've been praying and you've been talking about wanting to go this way and gosh, if you would just do this thing or that thing or let me nudge you this way or that way. Now, if I'm over here, or even over here, it's really difficult to hear you guys. It's really difficult. Now, let's do this just as a fun exercise, right? You guys talk really loud about anything. Just talk really loud.
Hey, how you doing?
Really loud. Louder, louder, louder. You guys talk normal.
Today.
It's a nice day.
Okay, now you guys whisper.
Oh, we got shopping. Grocery shopping.
Oh, okay. Well, you guys got to survive.
Okay, so, what did you hear? What did you hear? You were maybe trying to hear a little bit of what was going on over here. You were trying to hear a little bit of what was going on over here. And you were trying to hear, or whether you were trying to hear it or not, you were hearing what was going on over here. And this is how it is inside of most of our minds on a daily basis. As we're walking through life, you guys are shouting out grocery lists. You guys are shouting out, need to mow the lawn. I've got to be here at 2 o'clock. You guys are focused on these, and even I'm in church and I'm really enjoying it and I love this and that and I'm so glad so-and-so's here. But you guys, it's really easy to hear you guys. You guys, it's a little more difficult. Almost like when Mary talks and she gets us into a meditative state, that we tell this whole section of our mind, shh, I want to hear this. And we go into this guided visualization, this meditation to get the guidance that we're looking for. And oftentimes, just by having this part of our brain quiet, this part of our brain becomes really so much easier to hear. And when we're in this space, we get that guidance. We go, wow, that was so profound, the thing that happened during meditation. All of these answers, all of these experiences were happening, and it was really, really cool. And this is a very personal space. It's a very personal experience. Nobody else, for the most part, can have this experience with you. We may all have similar experiences, but the experience that we're having inside that meditation is very unique to us. It's very personal to us. Now this group over here, when we get past the quieting of the mind, and we even get past the quieting of the subconscious, and we get into that just silence. Just silence. That's when we can start to hear the whisper. That's when we can start to hear the whisper. Now, let's go back to our exercise again. You guys talk really loud, you guys talk really quiet, you guys whisper again. Okay, 1, 2, 3, go.
What did you guys say?
Okay.
Oh,
Now let's, these folks, keep talking. You guys keep going.
Oh, I really like the video.
So alive.
Okay, now how much easier is it to hear these guys? Now that these guys aren't talking, how much easier is it to hear these guys? Now I have these guys quiet, and now you guys are whispering. Now, as we hone in on, what does this one really say? What does this one really say? And what is this one? And what is, and we can hone in on this part and that part, because we start to hear that whisper, and we say, what is that whisper? It's like putting a microphone up to it that we can hear that whisper with more clarity, because there isn't the mental clutter or clatter or chatter that's going on. This really is what guidance is. This is what meditation is. This is why the spiritual practices that we believe that God is real, that our guides and angels are real, that we are truly all connected, and that we have teams of energy, teams of people who are plotting for our good, and that it's not all on my shoulders to walk through this life and to figure it out. It's not all on that. And it's not to say that anything is more or less important. This part over here, the whispers that we get of guidance, is very valuable. But the gallery of subconscious programs running in the back of our minds are ultimately valuable also, because they're ours. And they're important, and they can guide us in ways that are just amazing. And then our thoughts are part of how we express our individuality, which is part of why we're having this life experience anyway. Because when we're not poured into a body, when we're not a cup of water from the ocean, when we pour back into the ocean, we're connected to everybody's thoughts again, and God's thoughts, and everybody who's ever lived, and all this stuff. And it's really a cool experience, but it's so cool that at some point you go, whoa, time out, who am I? I don't know, put me in a cup, let's find out. That's these guys. This is your thoughts. This is your way of expressing life. And so each of the three categories are profoundly important. And when folks say, oh, but you can get guidance because you're psychic, or you can get guidance, or this person can get guidance, or that person can get guidance. No, absolutely, all of us have this gallery of guides, of angels, of loved ones who have crossed over, of God, saying, I have all the guidance for you that you want. And you have ultimate access to it anytime you want. But it's really tough to hear the whispers over the shouts. And when we first quiet our minds, we'll first wind up here most of the time. Now that I'm not thinking about my daily stuff and those thoughts that are barking at me of all the could, should of life, then it goes into the, well, look, this is more important, whatever this is, over here, where I can see this and I can feel this and I can really get in touch with myself and my spirit, my inner voices. But as we get even deeper than that, we get to hear. Now, the amazing part is, most folks think that they need to get like in a Zen Lotus position and turn off all outside stimuli, turn off the TV and the radio and the internet, and all these things, and turn off my phone and do all this so I can set aside this time to sit and to meditate and in order to hear the voices. I say, no way. That's one way of getting there, and that way can be very profound, but show of hands, how many people driving down the road, radio blaring, thoughts going nuts, have ever had that, I need to slow down? Okay, none of us were in a Zen Lotus position, none of us were meditating for half an hour, none of us were in that totally quiet space, but we had all of this on autopilot. We had all of this on autopilot. It was going. We were manually operating the car, we were visually paying attention to what we were doing, we were having a daydream about whatever that was going on inside of our minds, and we had all this mental chatter going while we were singing to the radio. But the impulses that Abraham and Esther were talking about there, that little nudge, because it didn't have to be whispered, it didn't have to fight for our attention, that said, psst, hey, slow down, hey, slow down, hey, slow down. Instead, you got right into the gut and went, whoa, what's that? Slow down, okay. So it didn't have to compete with any of this. Oftentimes, Mary will have some of her best meditations while walking Trinity, while doing dishes, while gardening, while doing something that she enjoys that her body is on autopilot. It's amazing because like when I do readings and I'm tuning in very specifically for somebody and what's going on, and that's the most important thing on the whole planet to me. When there's an in-person reading, it's me sitting in a chair connected with this person. When I do a over-the-phone reading, I can't sit still. I'm pacing, I'm walking, I'm doing, I'm pacing, I'm walking. I'm just putting my little meat puppet on autopilot, saying, go find something to do, and don't bump into the walls. And it's just kind of wild that like when I come back into my head, when I come back into my body after a session, I look around and I'm like, wow, I painted a sailor. I rearranged the garage. Looks like I took out the trash. Like my body was just on autopilot the same way that all of us do. They call it highway hypnosis. When you get in your car and you're headed home, and you remember getting in your car, and you remember maybe the first turn or two, and then you look up and you're in your driveway, or you look up and you're 3/4 of the way there, and you're like, whoa, hey, how did I get here? Right? It's the same thing. Like, our body knows what to do, so we just put it on autopilot, and it gives us that space to be able to communicate, because for some reason, when other people are in our space, it's really difficult for most of us to let those walls down to hear the whispers. But when you have that alone space, whether it's on the toilet or in a car, it's in that space that it's just my time. Whether it's in a bath, whether it's on a boat, whatever it is, it's my time. And in my time, I just let it go. And when I let it go, all of these waves of guidance come into us. Now the human ego says, after it's done saying that the guidance has to come in this way or this way or this way or this way, then when guidance does come in, then it feels the need to quantify it on a scale of 1 to 10. This guidance is a 1. This guidance is a 2. Whatever this thing was. When just before church started, I was outside where I was talking to Mark, and Mark was talking about metal detecting. And he'd been metal detecting for quite some time and felt like he was done. It was getting late. And he said, hey guys, I really feel like I'm done. You know, when should I be done? And his guide said, oh, get about over there, like cross street, like 100 yards.
Literally, they said, go to the 2 chairs and, yeah, about 100 yards, and that's exactly where I found it. Weird.
And he metal detected right over those 2 chairs, and right on those 2 chairs, poof, there was this ring. He's got the ring, it's right there. Citrine in it, it's pretty cool. But he asked for guidance, and then he got it. And then, as he was telling the story, it was, but, you know, even though that was a really cool experience, you know, it's just a little ring, and it's probably only worth this much, and you know, it wasn't like it cured cancer or something, and it, you know, it wasn't like when other people get intuition and it helps them to make $1 million, or it puts them in the right place to be with their soulmate, or it's doing these amazing, powerful, grandiose things. It got me this ring. Like somehow it's less than something else. When people live the story like Esther did with, pay attention to this one step. And we pay attention to that one step, and we avoid whatever the accident was, and then we dismiss it, we trivialize it, like, but that really wasn't that important. It was just a step. As if we know what the outcome would have been. Imagine if she had not paid attention to that step. Whatever. And tripped and fell, and I don't know how many people have ever walked up a stage, but most of the time the little steps lead to big corners, not very far away. And a big corner landing on a hip of a person who wasn't paying attention and fell down, and all of a sudden here's 1,000 people here to see her who instead watch her get taken away by an ambulance. And her next X amount of weeks, months, years worth of bookings are now spent in physical therapy because of this hip, because, doggone it, I didn't listen. Those feelings that we raised our hands, we all had the feeling driving down the road that says, slow down. And most of us slowed down. And then when we did slow down, a little ways later, we saw the kid on the bicycle, we saw the deer, we saw the wildlife in the road, we saw the cop behind us, we saw the whatever it was that gave us the reason to slow down. Now, because we listened, it wasn't a big, huge event. But that's simply how we categorize it in the mind, because in the example that she gave, barreling over the hill at 85 miles an hour, and here's a kid swerving in and out of the road, if she'd have smacked that kid with that car, that would have been a very powerful event. That would have been a life-changing event for her and for the kid. I can't count the amount of times that, having lived in the Midwest, that I was driving Mach 2 from road, destination A to B, and got told, slow down, and did, and slowed down, and then literally there was a deer, or one time there was a moose. You have no idea how big a moose is until you're in a Jeep looking up at one. Now this is a raised Jeep, and I'm looking up at dude, that's a big moose, and he had like 500 friends. There was like this whole herd, and I was on a gravel road, I was going from A to B, cruising around the corner, and get told, slow down. I'm like, oh, okay, so I slow down. I get told, dude, you need to slow down more. And I'm like, dude, there is nobody on this road. It is 2 o'clock in the morning. I'm trying to get home. I know where I'm going. I've taken this road 100 times. All the things we do we ask for guidance, and then we tell guidance all the reasons why guidance is wrong, right? Why we're not buying into it. And then we listen anyway, which is kind of cute. But so I slow all the way down to like 20 miles an hour, and I turn this corner, and here is a herd of moose. I couldn't have seen that coming. But then I rode 100 times, never saw one moose, much less 100 moose, 200 moose, whatever. I'd have been done. I'd have been done. And a few of those moose would have been too. It's not about second guessing the guidance that we get. And I thank God that God and our guides have more patience than I do, and that most of us do. Because if I treated my friends with bodies the same way I treated my friends without bodies, they would get really, really annoyed with me. Maybe yours would too, I don't know. But if I was like, hey honey, I've got a big decision to make and I really want your input, should I do A or B? Should I do A or B?
A.
Okay, I don't know if I should do A or B though. Should I do A or B? I don't know. A or B? A or B? I need some guidance. It would really help if I had some direction. You know me really well. Honey, I got this big thing to do. Should it be A or B? Should I do A or B?
A.
Okay. But are you sure? Because, you know, B looks really good, and if B did this, then, are you sure A?
A.
That's probably just her own stuff. She's got her own agenda. She wants me to do A. But that means I should probably do B because I'm partially rebel anyway, and I don't know though. Maybe I should get some other guidance. Maybe, what do you think, A or B?
A.
A. You know, it's the same thing Mary said, and I agreed with her when she said it too, but I'm just not sure that it feels right. A or B? A or B? So you really think that was A? Okay, I agree with you, it's A. But I'm not gonna take any action towards A. I'm gonna wait a few months and see if the answer changed. I'm just gonna go on living my life, and this thing's gonna keep nagging me in my head saying that I really want to be in this direction. And every time I ask for guidance to how to get to this place that I wanna go, people, places, circumstances, situations, things, guidance, inner gut feelings, all of it is telling me A. And it takes me a while to say, you know, I think I'll do A. Thank you. Now that I've done A, how do I get from A over to this? How do I get there? And instantly, my friends, my family, the people who know me, complete strangers who I don't believe that I've met in this lifetime, spirit guides, people who have crossed, the Holy Spirit, God, my gut feeling all tells me, now that you've done this and you're here, now cruise over there. Now cruise over here. Now cruise over here. And eventually we do it, and they do it without judgment, without timetable. As a human being, I lack that amount of patience. We all have, show of hands, who has somebody in your life who comes to you for guidance all the time, they ask your opinion, you give them your opinion, and then they don't do it. And then they come back and ask your opinion again, and you give them most likely the same thing you gave them last time, and you're shaking your head like, dude, I told you the same thing, you have asked the same question 20 times, I give you the same answer 20 times, why do you even ask my opinion? Most of the time when you get the guidance that I give you, you either don't do it, or you do the complete opposite, and when it blows up, then you come back to me again and say, but what should I have done? Right? We all have somebody in our life like that, right? We've all probably been that person in somebody else's life too. I know I have. And when we reach that point that we say, why do you come to me for guidance if you don't do the things that I'm telling you to do? I can only imagine the immense love that God must have, that our guides must have. Because show of hands, who has something in their life that they have struggled with for at least a decade? An old cycle, of this, that, whatever. How about 20 years? How about 30? How about 40? Okay, I'm out.
I'm not.
But we have these things that we have gone back to the well of guidance for, in some things for days, weeks, months, years, for other things, decades, and God has never lost patience with us. Our guides have never lost patience with us. The same love that they gave us the original guidance with is the same love they continue to give us the guidance today with. And they don't have that human part that says, well, my goodness, blah, blah, blah. No. And so that's why I strive to be more like my guides, more like God, more of that love, less of that judgment that says, dude, I don't care, God, if I had to ask this 1,000 times, the light bulb finally came on. And thank you for not giving up. Thank you for continuing to give me the guidance that I needed to get from here to there. And if I had a prayer for all of us, it would be that one, we worked on sometimes calming down this group of our thoughts, and maybe even calming down this group of our subconscious, and we asked some questions, and we got some answers, because it can happen really quick. Metal detecting on a beach, 10 seconds to ask a question, what should I do? 30 seconds, 3 seconds, millisecond to hear the guidance, to go walk through it, to have the result that we're looking for. And whether it's an end result or it's a result to get me from here to there. If I say, how do I get to Merrick Square Mall? And the guidance says, go that way. Okay, maybe I'll figure it out, maybe I won't. If it's, take your first right. Walk straight, take your first right. But I don't know if that's gonna work because I'm trying to get to the mall and I don't think it's a right to get to the mall. But if I walk until I take my first right, and then they say, okay, now walk till you take your first left. Okay, now walk till you take another right at the stoplight. Now walk, but it's like I wasn't taking notes, like to say, pick the first right, the first left, the second right, 3 blocks on your left, there you go. It was just an act of faith that said, that's where you said you wanted to go. You asked for guidance, I gave it to you. At some point, you're gonna walk down to the end of the street, you're gonna hang the first right, or you're not. And even if you walk in a completely opposite direction, if you stop and ask for directions, we'll give it to you. And sometimes you have to get to that corner before you can even see what the next corner is that actually leads to your destination. So this week I asked that all of us look at the things that in your life that you really want and ask for the guidance in getting there. Thank you.